In 1953, an industry knew its product caused cancer. It chose not to tell anyone. For the next 40 years, it spent hundreds of millions of dollars making sure you couldn't be certain either. This is the full documented story of how they did it, and why nobody went to prison. On December 15, 1953, the chief executives of America's 7 largest tobacco companies gathered in a suite at the Plaza Hotel in New York City. They were not there for a trade convention. They were not there to discuss marketing. They were there because they had a problem. Their own scientists had just confirmed what independent researchers had been suggesting for years. Cigarettes caused cancer. The evidence was unambiguous. The methodology was sound. The conclusion was clear. And every man in that room knew that if this became public knowledge, their entire industry was finished. What happened in that hotel suite over the following hours became the foundation of one of the most sophisticated and sustained corporate deception campaigns in American history. It lasted 40 years. It killed hundreds of millions of people. And not one executive was ever charged with a crime. The strategy they developed in that hotel suite was elegant in its simplicity. They would not deny that cigarettes might cause cancer. They would simply ensure that nobody could ever be certain. Within weeks of the Plaza Hotel meeting, the tobacco industry created an organization called the Tobacco Industry Research Committee. Its name implied scientific investigation. Its purpose was the opposite. The TIRC's job was to fund alternative research, studies that would produce findings inconclusive enough to muddy the scientific record. They hired credible scientists. They paid them generously, and they directed their research toward conclusions that served the industry. In one internal memorandum recovered in later litigation, a Brown and Williamson executive wrote in 1969, "Doubt is our product, since it is the best means of competing with the body of fact that exists in the minds of the general public." They were not trying to win the scientific argument. They were trying to prevent it from being settled. The doubt machine required credible faces. The tobacco industry found them in the medical profession. Through the 1940s and 1950s, cigarette manufacturers ran advertising campaigns featuring physicians endorsing their products. Camel cigarettes ran campaigns claiming, "More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette." Lucky Strike advertised that their cigarettes were less irritating to the throat. These campaigns were not based on genuine surveys of physician preference. They were marketing strategies designed to co-opt the authority of medicine itself. The funding came with no explicit requirements. But the researchers who produced inconvenient findings found their grants did not renew. Those whose work supported the industry's position continued to receive support. By the mid-1960s, the tobacco industry had created a parallel scientific establishment, one that produced a steady stream of research casting doubt on the link between cigarettes and cancer. It was not enough to suppress the truth indefinitely, but it was enough to delay action by decades. By 1994, the weight of scientific evidence was no longer deniable. On April 14, 1994, the chief executives of America's 7 largest tobacco companies were called before the House Subcommittee on Health and the Environment. Congressman Henry Waxman of California chaired the hearing. He asked each executive a direct question. Do you believe nicotine is addictive? One by one, all 7 executives answered. All 7 said no. They testified under oath that nicotine was not addictive. At the time of that testimony, internal documents from Brown and Williamson, documents that would be released later that same year, showed that the company had known since the early 1960s that nicotine was pharmacologically addictive. The image of 7 executives, hands raised, swearing to tell the truth, and then collectively denying what their own documents proved, became one of the defining images of corporate fraud in American history. No perjury charges were ever filed. Not one. In 1998, the attorneys general of 46 American states reached a settlement with the 4 largest tobacco companies. The master settlement agreement required the industry to pay $206 billion over 25 years. It did not require any admission of wrongdoing. No executive was indicted. No executive was charged. No executive went to prison. The internal documents confirmed everything. They confirmed that the companies had known about the link between cigarettes and cancer as early as the 1950s. They confirmed that the doubt campaign had been a deliberate strategy. They confirmed that the testimony of 1994 had been false. None of this resulted in criminal prosecution. Globally, tobacco kills approximately 8 million people per year. Every year, they got away with it. One company, one product, one 40-year cover-up. A secret meeting in 1953. An organization created to manufacture doubt. Medical professionals co-opted as marketing tools. Congressional testimony that contradicted internal documents. A settlement that paid no criminal price. And an industry that today sells the same product in new packaging to a new generation. No one goes to prison. And 8 million people die every year. This is what guilty and free documents, real cases, Verified facts. No arrests. Next week, the pharmaceutical company that created an epidemic on purpose. Subscribe. They got away with it. But not with you watching.